Hi! It's time to talk about looking for work. Because after all, that's what this whole thing is about, probably. Alright. Good habits. So you will find at some point that you are looking for work and you do not currently have work. Or perhaps you have work you do not like and you are looking for different work. So you want to make sure that you schedule time for yourself to apply for work every day. This is especially important if you don't currently have a job. However, you want to make it a specific time because you don't want to think about it all the time. Because if every time is a time to apply for work, then suddenly your life becomes awful. So set yourself a little bit of time every day and then move on. Do something else. Work on your craft, learn new skills, practice, make something, do something, go out, socialize. Making things is important for getting work. So is meeting people because you may meet someone who knows somebody. So, and those are things that improve your life as well. So just sitting down and doing applications all day isn't necessarily the answer. You want to make sure you have a diversified life, even when you don't have a job. And of course, at the end, keep at it. Thoughtful persistence is your biggest asset. So you don't necessarily have to be the best, you just have to be the one that won't stop, right? So just keep at it. That's the key. You'll often see that it's the person who lasts the longest who gets the promotion or the raise or even the initial job. So just keep at it. If you really want it, it'll happen. So you guys are starting on your journey, so you will have all of these things fresh and new, but at some point they won't be fresh and new, so you want to make sure before you start applying that you've updated your resume, your cover letters, get your basic portfolio together, make sure your website's all good, got your recent work on it, check your Facebook, LinkedIn, other social sites, make sure they're current. So you're looking for things that you've done, new organizations you've been in, any new work you've created. Make sure all of that is properly represented before you start applying to places because you want to show them everything that you can do. I highly recommend having an application database. This helps keep track of everything. So especially when you don't have a job and you really want a job, you're going to end up applying to lots of stuff and you may even forget what you've applied to. So the database really helps you track what you've done. It also gives you a little bit of warning for heads up. Hey, you may want to follow up on this. It's been a week or 2 weeks. Check in and make sure that everything's okay. Again, it keeps you from applying for the same job. You may think, oh, I'll just look in my sent email, but that's not always the best thing, and you'd be surprised. I've definitely applied to the same job twice. It also tracks job-seeking activities for unemployment. So if you get laid off, which often happens in the entertainment industry, you will need to file for unemployment, and often part of unemployment is proving that you've been looking for work. So this is a great way to track the job-seeking activities that you need to do in order to qualify for your unemployment. So write down when you apply, the date you applied, the last day that you contacted that company, which, maybe not the application date, so you may have followed up already later. The company name, if you can find a contact person, their website, phone, email, physical address, and any notes you had. So if you talked about something with somebody, make sure you jot it down. Or if you submitted supplemental materials, if there's anything extra you need to put in there. And it really does help keep track of everything. And, you can put a strike through or highlight the ones that you've heard back from. Just so that case closed, you don't have to think about it anymore. Because there's really nothing like applying for a job you really, really want and then not hearing for a month and being like, well, maybe, but you'll know it's been a month because you will have written it down in your database and you can just quit worrying about it. Or you can look at the phone number and follow up. So you're going to want to look online for jobs primarily. Yes, you can still look in newspapers and magazines and such, but we all go straight to online these days for the most part. Now, some of the first sites that will pop up are these general sites. They're aggregators, meaning that they pull listings from other sources. They collect these listings and put them on their websites. So sometimes they're not always the freshest. People can and do post directly to these, but a lot of times they don't. It's just these services finding the job listings on various other sites. So you'll usually end up wanting to apply directly to the company instead of through that service, just to make sure that the listing is up to date and they're getting your materials directly. Definitely do check that if it's fresh. Again, you can go to the company website for that. Something that's 3 months old, probably filled already. So just make sure that these places are listing what you are looking for. You can use them. They're not bad. You just have to be aware that they're aggregators and that not everything is fresh and that you need to apply directly to that company. You can also go to industry-specific places. A lot of these will have people directly posting to them because they know that people in the industry will be looking at them and they only want to target those people. And then it helps you kind of tailor your search to that area. So, for instance, at Mandy.com, they may be like, oh, I need someone for cinematography, or I need someone for gaffer, right, or PA. And so you can be more specific with your searches because it's industry tailored. You'll see a lot of postings faster than on an aggregator. You can also set alerts for new job postings. So these will do that, and sometimes the aggregators will too, and sometimes the next thing that we look at, companies, will as well. But it's good to get an email, especially if you're looking for a few job titles in particular, and that way it can send you an email when there's a new one, so you create an auto search. There's also job listings on company websites. So the companies often will post directly on their website, but then they'll also post to those industry-specific websites because people often go to those industry websites before they visit the individual companies because there's so many companies out there, right? Some big ones are Viacom, Turner, Cumulus. Those are gigantic companies that are umbrellas under of so many other little tiny things. What I recommend is if there's a company or a series of companies that you're interested in, go ahead and bookmark it in a folder on your browser. Then you can open all of the bookmarks in new tabs, check them all, and you can look every day to make sure that there's, see if there's something new. As far as following up, I would check for HR. You have to dig a lot, but you can usually find, if you can't find HR's number, you can find the main number and then ask for HR. And that's a way to follow up even though you're doing everything online. So when you actually go to apply online, most of the applications you're going to deal with are completely digital. So you're not going to interact with a human being at all, which is great if you don't like talking to strangers, but not so great when you're actually trying to make a human connection and get a job. So I recommend having a plain text resume where you remove all the formatting in Word, and that includes bullets, any like tabs or anything. And so you're just using spacebar spacing and you're using capitalization. And you can use tildes or commas or something to mark instead of bullets. But you're removing everything formatting-wise so that you can just paste it in. The reason to do this, if you have some fancy schmancy formatting on your resume and you paste it in, it often looks really funky. So you can kind of control it if you create a plain text version. The reason that they have you paste in your resume is because generally a computer actually reads everything first. So they're looking for keywords, which means you want to make sure you put those keywords in there. They're looking for your education, skills, certain experience, and the computer is running searches on your work. Then we'll transfer the documents to an actual human being once the computer has determined that you meet the minimum qualifications. So that being said, you want to make sure that you still are writing a real customized cover letter for an actual human being. The computer will scan it first. The human being will read it if you passed the computer test. Definitely look for any words in the job description or the company site and kind of try to work those into your letter. That's going to help the computer pass you on to an actual human being. All of these sites will let you create an account and then you can just use that resume over and over and over again. Please do update your cover letter to match that particular job. It's going to help you get that job if you personalize it. Again, following up can be kind of a pain. try to find an email or phone number. Like I said, if you can just find the main number or hr@viacom.com or something like that, it's worth just a shot, just to try to make contact. The more you work to make contact and not be annoying, but just follow up, say hi, make sure they got everything, the more likely they are to remember you and make a connection with you and hire you. So in addition to job-specific websites, it's a really good idea to subscribe to industry newsletters, magazines, and blogs. So read every day. I get stuff in my email inbox absolutely every day about all the news going on. I'll get, hot tips for graphic designers, and this stuff is happening in the animation box office. And that helps me keep up to date on what's happening in the industry, especially because I'm teaching, or you guys are, students. Like, you're not necessarily in the thick of it, right? So it helps you understand the world that's out there. Knowing what you can talk about with other people in your field, it makes you sound educated and informed and involved when you know the current events in your area. It also helps to see who's hiring. If you're like, oh, Sony's gonna have 5 new movies, well, maybe that's a great place to go look for work. It also helps you learn about your field. You learn about important people, buzzwords, you get tips. There's lots of good things. Sometimes there's forums and you can meet people that way or get known by posting your work. So definitely good to get involved in the community. And of course, as a benefit, they also often have a job listing site. They may or may not be as popular as other things, but they're worth looking at for that as well. Okay, so networking, it can be considered a slightly dirty word, networking, but it doesn't have to be, because network is really just expanding your base of contacts, aka meeting human beings, being decent, learning about them, they learn about you, and then you help each other out. So it's really more like making friends, when also in the back of your mind you're thinking about them professionally. It can be a dirty word when you're thinking about how you're going to use that person, but really good networking is about you guys being mutually beneficial to each other. So the way to network, the way to meet more people, is you have to get out, and the best way to do that are events based in your area. So whatever you're doing, so if there's drawing lessons at the local art school, or a photography get together, right? Or there's a small group making a movie, over the weekend, pitch in on that, right? Do things. Just get out there and meet people. And you'll find friends and you'll help each other. You can also network by contacting people for informational interviews, or just to say hi, or to compliment them. Just let them know you exist. As long as you're pleasant, it's usually not a bad thing, right? Just saying hi, I'm a human being, nice to meet you. Sometimes that sparks a conversation and a relationship, and sometimes it doesn't, but as long as you're nice, it's no problem. Definitely meeting people can lead you to someone who can be a mentor. You can learn from them, just a friend, and then, if you're lucky, some work too. But again, all of those are great things. So get out, meet people, enjoy humanity. I know it's not everyone's favorite thing, but think about it as meeting one person at a time, right? It can be very overwhelming when you step into a crowd of new people. Take your friends. You guys have made friends, so go with somebody and then make it a point to introduce yourself to other people. It can be fun, I promise. Contacts. So in the same way that I encourage you to keep a database of all your applications, I encourage you to keep a database of your contacts. These are professional contacts, which, can be things semi-related to your area. And a good place to start would be the people that you've gone to school with and the people that have taught you. And they can be people, that you met at an event, some friends that also work in your industry, somebody you worked with in the past, a mentor, someone you did an interview with, right? All these people are professional contacts. And you want to try to put as much information as you can about them, and also what company they're working for and what they do. I like to keep some notes about what we talked about. And I also like to keep a last date of contact. That way I know if it's been a while. It's really good too if you notice that they won an award, or they changed jobs, or they're on a new project, just to say, hey, I saw this on that blog or that website that, I told you to read, right? And they, you can compliment them on that. You can make that contact. Even if you haven't talked to them in a month, you can email them and say, hey, congratulations on an award, and it reminds them that you exist, and maybe you can re-spark that relationship. Again, don't just contact them when you need something. You don't want to be a user. Contact them, be engaged. So try to contact them, when you need something, and be polite about it, but also for other positive reasons, or just to say hi, or ask to go to coffee or something. So it's, again, mutually beneficial. Some things that you should consider are being part of a professional organization. So that could be a union for when you actually get started working, and sometimes you have to do certain things to qualify to be in the union. So heads up on that. But there's also groups that promote or advocate for your industry. So for instance, in animation, there's an animation guild, but not every company is a part of that, unfortunately. But there's also a group that does the Annie Awards, and they put out screeners, and they do events. And then there's Women in Animation, and, they're just ladies trying to make cartoons. So there's all kinds of different organizations in every industry that you can get involved with, be it union or non-union, just for fun, professional, fan-based, whatever. But it's going to help you meet people that are similar. It's going to do that networking thing. You can go to events that they hold. Sometimes there's benefits to membership, like I got free movies. Sometimes you get healthcare, right? And there's different things. A lot of times they'll have a job board. Again, it just depends on the one as to how extensive it is. Sometimes there's even scholarships or contests. And what's really cool is that being a member kind of adds a little cred to you, shows that you're interested and committed to that particular area, and you can add it to your resume to show you're legit. Some things to also look into and get involved with, there's workforce agencies and there's different councils. So at every level, federal, state, and local, there's different groups to help you get connected with people who are interested in you. So USA Jobs and National Endowment for the Arts or national level. We've got some stuff here like the Workforce Commission, Office of Cultural Development, Louisiana Entertainment, Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. And then we've got like some nonprofits like the Tipitinas Foundation. And there's also local ones, right? Shreveport Bossier has some stuff, as does Baton Rouge and New Orleans. So those are all places that you can get in contact with. And again, they're really meant to promote what you're doing. They're meant to promote art, film, design, whatever, and, help you and hook you up with people who have money and need things. That's especially like the councils, the film councils and the art councils, they like to bring in people from outside to hook up with locals and make things happen. So they're good places to chat with, see what opportunities are available. Sometimes they'll also hold events, and that way you can network with people, get to know everybody in the area, or meet prominent people in that field. And lastly, you've got conventions, job fairs, and festivals. So an event specifically for your industry. General job fairs can be okay, but make sure that there's a company there that actually is hiring for something that is related to what you're doing, or else it's sort of a waste of time because you guys are looking for more specific kinds of jobs. When you get to go to one of these things that's for your industry, it's really exciting because there's just so much stuff there related to the awesome things that you like, that you just are like, there's this many people that are like me and like these things. How cool. So you can meet people that are like you. You can reconnect with people that you've already met and say hi and get updated and exchange numbers again. You can learn about new technology, which is really cool. All the cutting edge stuff is there, and usually they'll have like research stuff. So, all the new toys. Companies usually have booths at these sorts of things. You can learn about the companies and you can talk to recruiters. And sometimes they'll do portfolio interviews as well, or they'll review your reel and they'll give you feedback, or they'll be like, hey, you're kind of cool. I'm going to keep your resume on file. So it's a really great way to get connected with people. I first made contact with one of the places I worked this way at a convention, gave them my resume. They were like, oh, that's cool. They held on it till later. I didn't get a job for a few months, but that initial contact really made a big difference. There's usually a bunch of different events all over the country, all over the world in your area. So go check it out. Again, it's going to be specific to each kind of job, right? Whichever industry you're going into, but there's lots of opportunities. Check, different ones are going to have different benefits. So make sure it's something that is worth traveling for if you need to travel. And a lot of these you're going to need to travel for because they happen once a year. And sometimes they'll hop around to different locations, or they're all the way on the West Coast. But sometimes they're really, really worth going to if you're serious about getting a job in that industry. And especially if you're interested in getting a job outside the local area or with a really big company. Plus, even if you're not interested in that, going and meeting everyone and learning is just a fantastic opportunity. So definitely look into that. So that's my 2 cents on how to find work. I have been lucky in the past. I have been unlucky in the past. But overall, I think I've done okay. So hopefully this will help you in the future. And we'll keep exploring how to get a career together in class. See you guys later.